Greetings, everybody. It's Bob Rivers with two of the most dear people in my life, Spike and Joe. It's a pop-up Bob, Spike, and
I thought
Joe.
you had Bill and Hillary Clinton coming on with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dearest people. Yeah.
Who had the pool? Politics in 0.8 of a second.
Clinton's not politics. No, they're just lovable old people.
That applies to all of our government, I think. Anyway, so we haven't done this in a while. And since the last time we did, there have been a number of things that have happened. Downtown Joe had a heart attack. If you're on Facebook and you're part of our friend network, you would know all about that. Spike already had 2 heart attacks, so he's
that's old school for me. I barely send a card anymore.
Yeah, he's good. He's good for now. And Downtown Joe, I'm mostly concerned for you. How are you feeling?
Good. I think Spike just named the new name for our show, Lovable Old People. I feel older now, having had a heart attack, but I got to say, as far as heart attacks go, I had a good one. I mean, it was, if you're going to have a heart attack, give a plug to Overlake Hospital. That's the place you want to have one. If you're in the area of Seattle, I feel really lucky and really blessed. The way it all worked out, and now I'm in cardiac rehab and stuff. So I see a lot of people that have had heart attacks, and I feel even luckier compared to a lot of people's stories. Mine is a real happy one so far.
So you had a St. Joseph's heart attack for children, kind of a heart attack. It was just very little.
I mean, it was the one they call the Widowmaker. I mean, it could have been a bad deal. It's, it's everything's going fine till it's not kind of heart attack. It was and they say, I never knew this whole business about the Ides of March, but I will say, beware of the Ides of March. Apparently bad stuff can happen right about that time, because that's when it happened to me. It was the Monday morning after St. Patrick's Day, and I think some of it was self-inflicted. I went and saw a concert the night before, and I ate the biggest, greasiest pepperoni pizza, one of the best. And by the way, the last one I've had. I ate that night. Took my my stepmom out to breakfast the next morning and had chicken fried steak and hash browns, and then I know. Then it was St. Patrick's Day, so I took Emily. She was home, and we went to the Mustard Seed, and I got a patty melt and had a 1 Guinness beer, and then that was, by the way, the last beer I've had, and I think that's a good one to go out on, a Guinness on St. Patrick's Day. And I woke up about 3 that morning and thought, I got indigestion. I said, well, of course you do. You've been eating like crap. I mean, I always have, but even by my standards, and it just wasn't going away. So I got in my car, which, by the way, they tell me never do that.
Never do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But wait a minute. But back up just a second, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
You woke up, you felt like you had indigestion. No one gets in their car because they have indigestion. So you must have thought maybe it's something worse.
Well, and I've got to credit you a little bit, not for the heart attack, but for you told a story a while ago about you had a little defibrillation issue or a fibrillation, and I had a Fitbit watch on, and I'm laying in bed, and I look at my watch, and my heart rate's at like 120. It's like, wait a minute here, I'm playing perfectly still.
Yes.
That should know it should be about 80.
Yep.
So that's when I knew something was up, and but I didn't want to wake my wife up, because I knew, number one, who knows how long it's going to take her to get ready.
Before she gets ready, she has to remind you of all the food you've eaten in the last 25
and I knew a lecture was coming.
You don't have time for that.
No. And I felt I could drive myself, so I did. And I went to the emergency room, and they took a couple tests, and they said, yep, the cardiologists are going to want to see you when they get here. And about 7 a.m. they rolled in, and the lady.
Wait a minute. You got tests at 3:30, 4 a.m.?
Yep, 4 a.m.
And they said, wow, this is really bad. Someone should be along in about 3 hours?
Yeah, which is record time. I mean, well, they said, I mean, they kept me, they immediately put me on an IV and under observation, and they're like, we're not sure what's up, but we know something's going on here, and you're the first one in line as soon as the doctors get here. And and when they got here, I was the first in line, and they she did the EKG or whatever. Goes, oh yeah, she says we got a problem here, and she says we're
At
gonna.
7 a.m.
Oh yeah, and she
Okay.
said
Between 4 and 7 a.m. What's going on then?
well, I
Did
was
you order a pizza?
no.
Okay.
I was laying there and kind of wanting to go to the bathroom, and I finally told the guy. He says, you know, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I really need to go to the bathroom. And he hands me a little jar basically,
Yeah.
and
A
I
milk
said,
jug.
yeah, I said, hold on here. I said, and he's like standing as close, you know, he's standing 2 feet from me. He's like, here you go. I said, no, no. I said, I can walk just fine. You know, I'm going to the bathroom. And we had to argue about that for a little while. I said, but I said, I don't pee well into cups and stuff. I mean,
So it was number one, not number two.
right. It was number one.
Okay.
So anyway, so for a couple hours, I mean, there were tests. They were monitoring me. They were taking my blood sugars. They were taking my heart rate. I wasn't just sitting there waiting around for, you know, a couple or 3 hours. And then when they did come in, um, she says, well, we're going to go in there and look around. We may need to do some stuff. We may need to do a lot of stuff. We may need to put you under and cut you open. Says, well, how far do you want us to go? I said, well, do whatever you need to do. And I just signed off on that.
If it's a matter of sutured, let me die.
Yeah.
How far do you want us to go?
How far do you want us to go?
Yeah.
Well, whatever it takes.
So she says, well, you're just like a NASCAR and we're the pit crew. We're going to wheel you in there. You're going to hear a bunch of stuff going on around you, and we'll just do whatever. And then about 7 o'clock Monday morning, this was March 18th, I guess. So it's been now a couple months, and they wheel me in there, and the lady who had done most of the stuff, who's my current cardiologist, has kind of got everything prepared, and then rolls in Doc Watson, a guy named James Watson, and he's the man that actually does the stent putting in.
Didn't he invent the telephone with Alexander Graham Bell? Hasn't he been around for a very long time, right?
And a great bluegrass player too,
yeah,
Doc Watson.
Bluegrass, yeah.
Yeah, but
cool name. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, he's the guy I kind of credit to really essentially saving my life, because the one thing they did show me was this one blood thing. He goes, you know, that thing is almost 100. It's supposed to be 10. He says, you know what that means? I said, no, it says that means you're dying right now, but we're going to take care of that. And one thing I will say, as much as I loved Overlake Hospital and I felt like I got the best care, if you can time it to not have a heart attack first thing on a Monday morning, you're probably going to get happier doctors, because they came in pretty grumpy. They not grumpy with me, but think about going to work on Monday morning first thing. You're not, you know, you want your weekend to continue. I don't think Watson is an Irish name, but it was St. Patrick's Day the night before. Who knows? But I didn't ever get put under. So I'm listening to them, and they're arguing. He's telling the one guy, hold that thing steady. He says, that's not in the middle. Hold that thing in the middle. He goes, this is not going well. And I'm like, this is not what I want to hear. It's not well. And but the bottom line is, by 8 o'clock, I'm in a recovery room. Kelly is there, promising not to lecture me, and it's all done. So I basically 3:15 I wake up, 3:30 or so I'm in the hospital, 7 a.m. I'm in the operating room, 8 a.m. I'm done, and then spend the night at Overlake, and they check me out, and I'm home the next day. I'm recuperating.
No surgery
for a week. The only surgery I had, and I don't know if you can see this, little dot, about the size of a pinhead, right there. Just a little
Okay, they went in through there. Did they use? That's how they got into your heart
Yep, they went
arthroscopically.
all the way up
Yeah.
my arm and into my heart and popped a little balloon and a stent in there.
Yeah.
And that's the other part is, speaking of parts, he wasn't really sure. He's like, all right, let's try that XJ95E. Well, let's go maybe a little smaller. How about that XJ95D? And they're
Yeah.
debating on parts, and he popped that in. And I had a
quick aside, Spike. Were you awake when they did this to you, or is this
completely? But
okay.
yeah,
Same story.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you a little bit different, but let me finish Joe up, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Why how lucky Joe is.
Oh, I feel so lucky because I had a 99% blockage, and then now it's rolling good, and I'm going to cardiac rehab twice a week. I'm on all kinds of drugs, and that is one thing I thought illegal drugs were supposed to be the expensive ones. What's the deal with these $1,100 bottles of pills? Now I'm lucky.
What are you on?
Oh, geez. I can't even start to tell you. I'm on Berlanta, Entresto, metformin, which I've been on for a while. By the way, they say that metformin may be an anti-aging drug, and they didn't even know it. There's the people who've been
so if you've got a doomsday bunker, metformin and what's the one? The other, the one with the big story to tell.
Ozempic.
Ozempic.
Yeah. I'm on Ozempic.
That's all you need. I
just had my Ozempic today. I was on Ozempic before the heart attack.
Is there a theme song for any of your other medicines?
I'm not on with the little pill with the big story to tell. I'm not.
That's Jardia.
Jardia. Okay. It's the same thing though. It's like Ozempic, right?
No, that's the A1C. And I'm surprised they haven't got me on that. That's one to reduce your A1C, and maybe that is kind of like Ozempic.
You make a great commercial, Joe. I'm keeping on my A1C. Joe, your commercial will be great, man.
Joe, I want to see you on one of those TV ads on the evening news singing about your health care. I think.
Well, I miss getting paid to talk about stuff, and I would love it. I would love to endorse, but this is an unsolicited plug for Overlake, and so far, it's just. And I've lost weight. I have not sat on a bar stool or been through a drive-through window since this happened. I mean, I have changed.
Yeah. So you have smugglers bringing that stuff in through the back door.
No, I'm not even. No. I mean, I got to admit, every once in a while, I feel a little urge for. In fact, today even because I came to podcast with you guys, and I'm like, here's my one chance to sneak a piece of pizza or something, because Kelly's has been pretty good on my watch.
Yeah,
but I went.
Have nothing on Kelly.
I went to the pizza place, and it's like there's pepperoni, there's sausages. Like, man, none of that stuff sounds good. When you ate a pepperoni pizza,
I sometimes drive by Skid Row and look at the drug dealers too. It's the same thing. I will drive by and it's like, oh, there's the guy with the. But not today.
If they'd had something that at least I could have semi-justified as being healthy, but I have not eaten any like that sort of stuff. And
pizza with broccoli.
Yeah. I did have one. Mod Pizza had Teacher Appreciation Day, and I'll even forego a little health for a deal. I mean, when it was buy a pizza, get a pizza free. But I get to pick my toppings. So I went with only the lean meats and only the vegetables, no pepperoni, no sausage, none of that. So I put some chicken on there and a little bit of ham or Canadian bacon and some pineapple and, stuff like that. But my ways have changed. And, like I said, I feel blessed to, as far as having a heart condition goes, I feel like I'm in a good spot, and hopefully, I do feel pretty winded. My job has to change, and that's part of what put me in my situation is bad living habits, but also, we used to work 6 to 10 a.m. when we were on the radio together, and those days became 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. days for me.
6 to 10, still the same.
Yeah, many years, and I'm getting rid of the nighttime stuff. I'm having somebody else do all that now, and I want to keep teaching, but I don't want to literally kill myself doing it. So, and I'll tell you, it's May. There's not a teacher alive that says, I love teaching right this time of year. I mean, this is tough. This is tough as it gets. Everybody's, heading out the door or trying to head out the door and failing their classes. And it's just it's a tough time to teach, even when you're in the best of health, as the year winds down, but I'm dialing it back.
Like tax season for an accountant.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, Kelly has chatted with Lisa, and she's sung your praise as far as losing weight and modifying your diet. I still think you need to be on a 24-hour security watch myself. I mean, I think that we should hire someone.
Well, it's
between you and your mouth, there should be a chastity belt of some sort.
Yeah, well, most of it, I mean, if it starts with the word Mac, it just isn't part of my world anymore. I mean, I'm no Mac nothing. And I haven't had any beer or any kind of libations at all. And I really, frankly, don't miss them.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So that's, you can't change everything, but at least just try to make the best choices I can as I go. And hopefully I'll keep going for a while. Eat better and work less is the two things the doctors kind of ordered me to do. So
they talk about exercise, or do they say, hold off? No,
nope.
You should.
I should exercise even more than I do, but I go to rehab twice a week, and not I always thought I might wind up in some kind of rehab, but I never thought it would be heart rehab. I'm going there, and they put me on a treadmill for about 40 minutes, and we lift weights and we do stretches, and we talk about a different aspect of how to live a little cleaner. And then I try to get at least one day a week in on my own. So exercise is a big part.
What kind of exercise do you want to do?
Do I want to do? I want to word.
Video games.
Many of them.
Video game exercise. I want to do this.
Yeah.
Have some guy on screen jump around.
Do you guys have a dog track somewhere in Seattle, or is it a horse racing place? It's not.
We have a horse track. Yeah. Emerald Downs.
Emerald Downs. Do they have, because in a dog track, they would have like a bunny or something, and the dogs would chase the bunny around. I know this from cartoons. In your case, maybe a fitness center would have a piece of pizza and you'd chase it around.
Yeah, I mean, that might work.
I'm just trying to put it lighthearted. I'm so happy that you're healthy, Joe-ish.
Oh, yeah.
None of us are healthy, too. The other thing I had to say is, as I was thinking about getting together with you guys tonight, I went, when we was Fab on the radio show, 30 years ago, we would all argue about, health and diet, and we would talk about who was more healthy than the other person. And we used to actually bet on who would live the longest. And so tonight, I knew we were getting together, and I thought of a guest we used to have on the show from Detroit. Maybe you'll remember him. He was a great guy who essentially ran a numbers game. He called himself Death Pool Dave. Do you remember Death Pool Dave?
Yeah, I sure do. I think is he still with us? Or
I did a Google search and I was worried because he hasn't posted since January. But if Death Pool was on with us now, it would be kind of funny for each of us to tell him our health problems and then have him do a pool. And then maybe the money goes for charity.
I'm not going to put in any money. Are you saying that we did this before? I remember how this went.
We talked about this. Yes. That's right. But you did lose a ton of weight when we did the bet.
Oh, yeah.
In any event, we're all on the back. What do they call it? The back nine?
Back nine, downside of the mountain. Yeah.
We're probably more on the back 1.5 or 2. But does it make you think any differently? And I know it does for me. But Spike, we're old now. How does it feel how does life feel, and how does your enthusiasm for what your most important things are, which I assume are still family and job and meaning, having some meaning in other people's lives. At this age, do we think any differently about that? We'll go with Spike first.
Well, let me backtrack 1 second, because Joe, two things. Any food that is handed to you through a window takes a day off the end of your life. So just realize every time somebody tries to pass you a bag of food, that's a day you're not going to see Emily's kids or whatever it might be, right?
It's
a day without Kelly.
Yes. Okay.
It's true, though. And as far as pizza goes, we should just send out a message to all pizza places that says, don't sell pizza to anybody who, if the guy asking for pizza looks like the guy on this box, don't send it to him, because you still look like
the most wanted in the post office.
Yes.
The most.
Yes.
No, none of these guys can have pizza. They're pizza offenders.
Yeah. And Joe, I can't believe that they put you in a room for 3 hours to wait. That is the best news ever, because while you were in a dire situation. I mean, when I showed up at the emergency room with my heart attack, 45 minutes after I waddled into the emergency room door, I was done. I had already had 7 stents put in
Wow.
45. That's how close I was to. They called mine a widowmaker too. I mean, 45 minutes later, they got my other organs in a doggy bag and handed me the check. I was ready to go home.
I think they call it a widowmaker because they want you to feel good about paying the bill. I don't think these are all the same.
Well, anytime you got 100% blockage is what they call a widowmaker. I had the same thing, Joe.
Could have snapped you right out. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it really can lock up, and they can't restart you at that point. I also did the cardiac rehab thing, Joe. It's good advice. They're just going to hand you the tools to it, but anything they tell you is anything they told me wouldn't matter if we decide not to take it seriously and not do what they say. They'll give you the keys to. You already have the answers to the test. What's more important, man? Pizza or your wife? What's more important? Having a beer, going to have this meal, that meal, and I still have to remind myself to stop. If I go for food that's guilty food, I don't eat as much as I used to. I haven't cleaned a plate, and I couldn't tell you how long. That's the only way I can do it. And as far as how do you feel about life these days? I got a daughter that's getting married in less than a year. I got a kid that's going into their 3rd year of college. I need to be around here for a while. Melissa and I went through a few really tough years, and if I need to keep working. We were talking about retirement the other day at work. And I said, it wasn't on air. It was just in the office between me and my co-host and our producer. And I said, look, I don't think I'll ever be able to retire. I really don't. I mean, I think I'm going to work till I drop.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the nest egg.
Instead of the standard greeting on your tombstone, have it say "Retire in peace." It's a retirement party.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your mortality these days? Everybody, you continue first, Spike.
I ache too much. I move too slow. I don't move around enough. And every time I'm not doing something, I'm realizing it's because I ain't got much time left. And I don't mean to be morbid. None
of us gets out of here alive. But
yeah,
philosophically, are you more scared as we get older or less?
Yeah.
You're more scared. Okay. That's weird.
I
have stage 4 cancer, and I could not give it another thought almost, which is the weirdest.
Well, that's the only way to look at it. If you look at it, when I say I'm more scared, it's just, I guess I realize of late that I have far less time left than I would have assumed, So, and I'm not trying to be morbid or anything like that, but I guess, like Warren Zevon said, he said, eat every sandwich, but that's not good advice for Joe or I, maybe appreciate every sandwich.
I do wish Death Pool Dave were here, because he could make light of this like no one else. He could go like, Bob Hope's going to be gone within a year. Bob Hope will be gone in a year, and he'd just rake in his winnings like Vegas. He was the greatest. And then with the arguments we would have is, because we used to have this argument, which one of us is going to live longer? And I thought, I always railed about bad diet because I myself couldn't not eat bad stuff. In fact, just about everything that tastes good is bad for you. And so I ended up with something that, digestive system. They had to pull out my esophagus, and I have literally just enough room to eat like 2 jars of Gerber baby food. That's the size that I can eat in one sitting. I can eat 6 times a day, and I do, but it's almost like it's a big whack upside the head for, Joe, I wish I had the craving for pizza you have. And by the way, I eat pizza, but I eat the pizza. We go to a pizza place, and I say, could you double cut it, please? Because when you double cut 8 slices, you get 16 slices. I don't know if this would help you, Joe. But it's they double cut it, and then I can eat 1.5. And then if I eat any more, you get nauseous. And so it's like I had one of those stomach operations on purpose.
Those bands,
but a gastric band. But anyway, it's made me very aware that, this is something that will eventually catch up with me. But it's also made me incredibly happy because each bite should be savored. I didn't savor it. I wolfed it down. And my esophagus was like, hey, we got a load coming in here. We's already working on it. You're sending us more. And I realize now that I was like, I could tell you, Joe, hey, Joe, you better watch it. You're not going to live that long. You'd be like, I'm going to outlive you, my grandpappy. You would talk about people in your family. And Spike was mostly quiet because he was like, everyone in my family dies young.
I know. I'm still a record holder. Yeah,
You're a record holder. Anyway, I'm thinking about all of this stuff. And I've, by the way, I'm defying the odds. I've been here 2.5 years since diagnosis. And that really wasn't that likely. And I'm not a unicorn yet. What's halfway to a unicorn, Spike? What would it be?
Oh God,
a 4-leaf clover. Something. You're sort of lucky, but let's see if you could.
You're a horseshoe, but not a full unicorn. Yeah.
That's right. Because the unicorns are like the people that are still there 5 years later. Because it's one of those that nobody does that. Anyway, what's happened to me is I am super busy with projects, and I just save. It's like when a TV series is almost over, and you're in the last season or 2. The episodes get more precious. So, like, I'm in a reality TV series about me that I'm in my 68th year of it. There's 365 episodes a year. It's a hard-working crew. And now how do I want it to end? Well, I would like to, do you want him to go out all miserable and resentful and, feeling gypped and all? No, I want to own my decline. I want to be, I want to be as good to everybody as I can, especially people I fucked up with earlier. And then leave a good example, because life is short. I mean, even if you're Betty White, that's a fraction of human history, a teeny fraction. So anyway, I've been thinking about you guys because of your health and stuff, but I want to establish something right now, and we'll get Death Pool Dave to bet on. I wanted to give him all our information and to bet. And we had a lot of fun with it when we were in our 30s and didn't give a crap, right?
Well, it's other people's death. That's
right.
Fun.
Who cares about Bob Hope? I want to tell you. But I want to establish some rules. And I know Joe will see this as me cheating, but it's not who dies first. It's who lives the longest. So I'm almost 68. Spike, you are
61.
61, 7 years younger than me almost.
Yeah,
and
Joe's the same.
So you're 61 too.
I'll be 61 this year.
Yeah. So I just want you to know that even if I crap out in the next 6 months, you didn't beat me until you get to 68.
So you want a
That's fair.
handicap,
Yeah, and I'm not betting Keith and Leanne's inheritance, but
by the way, I'm sorry, Andrew.
yeah, Andrew's going to be a monster star. He's going to be on Netflix. And he's going to get a late night show opposite Taylor Tomlinson. He'll be fine, and Keith will be fine too. But no, I just want you to, bottom line, just know that I love you guys and think about you all the time, and I pray for your health and mine. But it also, I've just developed this feeling that it isn't a scorecard where you're bad if you're not good at something. It's this incredible mystery of life that we get to live in and interact with people and have a positive effect on their lives. And Joe, you're maybe, no offense to you, Spike, but Joe, I may be most proud of you for your second career. And Spike, I'm most happy for yours as well. And so, yeah, I thought we should get together and, pick a number. I'm probably only good to 69. All right, Spike, what's your number?
Oh, don't go there. Buddy, I hate to even think that out loud for you or for me. I know that every day is, it's easy to say cliche, every day is a gift, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of, not a lot of work to do. I don't want to say that because that seems like I got a lot of living to do.
You got a lot of love to do.
Yeah, I do, man. Liz and I are in a great place, as a couple right now. And, it seems like the light at the end of the tunnel wasn't a train. Mm-hmm. And we can enjoy each other, and I love what I do. I love who I work with. I love that my friends are still a part of my life. I don't even want to think about how much track's left.
It was beautiful to hear you talk about Melissa, because Lisa and I have just started to get to like each other too in the last couple of years. It's been amazing.
I know. Who knew? Yeah.
I think you know what I mean. It's just like stuff that used to bother you is like, oh yeah, I'm pretty used to this rabbit hole. I'm not going to go in there again. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, I can deal with this. I know where this goes. I can just skip to the end of this argument. Yeah.
Joe, how about you and Kelly?
Well, I think our relationship wise, I think is going well. In fact, she said something yesterday I never thought I'd hear her say in my life, which shows that I think we're making some progress as a husband and wife team. She said, maybe we need to get a camper. I said, a camper? This is a woman who was raised by a Marriott executive who refuses to sleep anywhere that is not under the stars.
4.5 stars is the minimum. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and now she's saying, and I think it's one of our neighbors she went and spent some time with this weekend. They have a little camper, and she said, when the pandemic came, I would have loved to have had a camper, and we could have gone and camped and not had to stay in hotels with lots of other people. And I said, you're talking my language here. So, I think we're doing good. And as far as putting a number, I always, when I turned 50, I said, okay, I'm halfway. And then I would have changed my thought on that when I hit 60, because I was feeling pretty tired. But now
you were feeling 3/4 of the way then.
Now that I've got my blood is full of Entresto and all these other drugs, and it's pumping, that heart is pumping like crazy. I don't see that 100 is out of the question. Now, my dad did pass from cancer, and I found out I have a lot of things in my family that could take me down, and you just never know when you're going to get in an accident or something. But I still think I could have a good long life. Part of my problem, and I admire you so much, Bob, that you are maintaining a mission-driven life, and you want to be do good by others, and you want to keep podcasting, you want to keep telling stories. The song you wrote about your mom was just so wonderful that you did with your brothers. Part of me is, after this, is getting a tiny bit more selfish, because I have led a very mission-driven life. since since our show ended, I started teaching, and I've been pretty selfless in mentoring others, and I
I
love it.
noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, do I love it enough to maybe shorten my life? I'm starting to feel like, a camper doesn't sound bad. Maybe a little cabin on the ocean doesn't sound bad. Now, I don't know if that would shorten or
Well,
increase my
and
life.
if you stop working, you can live in the camper.
Right, right,
Kelly will love that. We just put
yeah,
Marriott on the side of it.
right, right. I mean, it's so and I heard you, Spike, talking on your show a little bit about that, about retirement and thinking that you
Yeah.
probably wouldn't. And I figured I'd teach till I was about 70, but
Mhm.
now I'm starting to hedge on that little.
Mm.
Unless I figure out a way to do it a little easier than I'm doing it now. I've got to cut back on that particular aspect of my life, but I still, as long as I will embrace these health changes, I still think I've got a good long run ahead of me. I've just got to find a less stressful way of living. And I don't want to just be selfish and sit there and watch Netflix for hours and ignore people, although it sure feels good to not have to. I mean, I hate to say that.
You just described the feeling of ice cream to me when you talked about that. Just
I know. It's like,
binge watching. Yeah.
yes, but I want to keep being of service to people. But I got to figure out a way to be of service to myself, so I'll be around for my family. And that's a lot of and a lot of it is just everything I do. I do probably not the easiest way you could do it, and sometimes it's one of the hardest and most stressful ways. So I
Give
gotta find
me an
ways.
example of that so we can all share your wisdom.
Well, if you care more about your job than the people that you are working for or the people that you are serving, then maybe you care a little too much.
Mhm.
I mean, I really spend a lot of time concerned about my students, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to change that, but I am starting to figure it out that if I'm more concerned than they are, then maybe there's things are a little out of balance.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you're talking about balance. Balance is the point you're making there, and it's the same for all of us. We have what we're passionate about, and like when it's time to change your seats on the bed, I hide behind a bush in the backyard. I don't want to do that kind of work.
Oh yeah. In fact, I can't remember the last time I did. My wife finally will do that, but
Now Lisa she's trained me. She had to send me out, as I'm a rescue, and so she had to send me to professionals. But I now get up and go, I'm going to make the bed today just to be nice. And then I think, because I'm a man and I made the bed, where's the praise?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you've made the bed like so far 3 times in 42 years. Good job. But yeah.
But how often do you take out the garbage? Is that your
best part of our new house? I first of love living in Las Vegas, and I love living in like they used to sing about in that show Weeds, little houses in the little cul-de-sacs. Remember that song?
Yeah.
And it's a little house at a cul-de-sac. It's nondescript. We got extremely lucky with the backyard because the backyard has a panoramic view, but you would never know it. And it's a small house, the smallest house we've ever had, which means when I need a Band-Aid, it's 30 feet away. I know where it is, which shelf it's on in the closet. When we had 48 acres and I needed something like a screwdriver, it might be in the barn. It might be over here. It might be in the basement toolbox. But anyway, what did you ask me? I totally lost the train of thought.
taking out the garbage?
Oh, taking out the garbage.
My
So-
premise is, my wife does sheets, I do garbage. I got my department, she's got her department. That's
All
why
right. That came down from the Supreme Court, and have they upheld that ruling?
Well, it's just kind of the way we gravitated to what we don't mind. I don't even mind cleaning the toilet, although I got to admit I don't do it as often because I have a higher tolerance for filth than she does. But I mean, there are certain jobs, and that's where I was. I admire you making the bed, because to me that seems like such a waste of a job. I mean, you're only going to mess it up again in like 16 hours.
Right. And less than that, because we sleep a lot now. But yes, why make it? Is Better Homes and Gardens coming over to do a spread on our bedroom?
Exactly. Nobody's going to be in there. So, I mean, the garbage, I understand. If you don't take the garbage out,
But Lisa's kind of superstitious when it comes to the bed. She believes that there are vermin in there called cootie bugs, and that you have to shake them out. And by the way, I feel like I'm just giving them a trampoline ride. I don't really, they're microscopic cootie bugs. But she says, get the cootie bugs. And I go, okay, and I shake it for a while. And then I go, righto, Captain. But as far as garbage goes, we're now, garbage is all controlled by the mafia, right? Isn't that something I learned on The Sopranos?
Sanitation. It's sanitation.
Sanitation workers.
Yeah.
We are in that quintessential little neighborhood of little ramblers, all night next to each other. And when it's time it's Monday night is garbage. And I still have post-traumatic stress syndrome from all the years I've had to take out garbage, because we've lived, in the country. I figure I might be attacked by a wolf or an elk or a mountain lion. And when we lived in Vermont, I had to put the garbage on a trailer and drive it 20 minutes to the dump. They don't call it dump anymore. What do they call it? Landfill, reclamation center, recycling, all of that stuff. And
solid waste.
Yeah. So now I have to drag these garbage bins 30 feet to the end of my garage. And I come in and I go, well, I took out the garbage. No appreciation. I mean,
well, that's your department.
I guess it's my department. Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa and I have the best deal ever. Yeah, but Melissa does me. I do everything else. I'm happy to have the deal.
I think I know what you mean.
Yes, you do.
Still, and I'm happy for you. Every once in a while I have a discussion with someone of our age about, our activity or something. And, we still have some activity. And a friend of mine will say, oh, no, that ended for us a long time ago. And I always feel bad for them. But I feel that human touch, even if you don't quite always get the fireworks, I'll just stick with fireworks. Even if you don't always get that human touch is still the best way to express love to someone you care about. How about you, Joe?
Well, there's not as much touching as there used to be, but I know what you mean. Even just a hug, and I feel I probably have dropped the ball a little bit, and not even just from ability, although my abilities have certainly suffered the last few years. But from a scheduling standpoint, that once again, getting back to that 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. workday, the last decade of my life,
you do know this is going to be good for your cardiovascular recovery.
Oh, yeah.
Part of your therapy. And I'll give you a tip for what it's worth. You nailed it when you said scheduling, because gone are the days, and Lisa and I talked about this the other day, when I would wake up at 3 a.m, just on any random night, and put my arm around her just enough to see if she was willing to wake up. And she was. It's like the Talking Head song. And she was, and she was, and she was. And now, it's more like, how do you feel this week? Do you think maybe we could fit something in Thursday at 3 o'clock before the landscaper gets there at 5? And and it's fun. And a lot of times we'll get to that day and we'll go, I'm pretty wiped out. Yes, I'm wiped out too. Okay, we'll just put it off till tomorrow. And but I guess if I'm not giving advice to other old couples, it's really worth it to show your caring with touch, even without, a finish line.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it does.
I've covered them both. I've covered the fireworks, grand finale, and the finish line. So that covers everybody.
You guys ever heard the phrase, "What's your love language"?
Yes.
What do you do for your partner to show them that they're important to you? It's Melissa. You guys know this. When Darby was born, Melissa had heart issues, and Melissa's heart is older than all of ours. She's got the heart of an 80-year-old because heart muscle is destroyed through her cardiac disease, and she's been recover.
By the way, God bless her. She's well, I'm sure, but she had a difficult road, and you cared for her well.
Well, that was what I was getting to. Is when I say I do everything else, I'm being a little comedic, but I mean I do the cooking and the cleaning and the shopping and the laundry, and I make the beds every day, and I scrub the toilets around here because that way my wife's going to be around here a lot longer. Mm-hmm. That I got that kind of time, and that's kind of how I show my love. Is making. Are
you suggesting that Kelly should step it up and do more around the house for Joe?
A little bit.
I don't think that might be a great approach. Yeah. Right. Well, here's this has been a weird podcast, but in a way, we just popped up to say hi to each other because we have not, the three of us, talked together since Joe's heart attack. And so this might be a little bit too morbid for some people or whatever, but I just love you guys, and I'm so happy that we are still friends and a part of each other's lives, and so proud of both of you while I sit back here in retirement sipping what did I have today? A non-alcoholic beer by the pool, because at least I didn't die of that. And it's good. It's really, I feel like what we accomplished, the three of us, affected a great many of lives for the better, as listeners frequently write. And so getting together, Lisa says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to podcast with Spike and Joe." She was like, "You're podcasting again? Like you're going to work?" And I'm like, "I'm having a conversation with two of my best friends." And since we are, what do you call that? People who like to show off in front of other people? Exhibitionists. I said, "We're going to record it." And she gets it. She's a sweetheart.
Well, I would add to that. We've been blessed to have been able to have a positive effect, maybe, or at least to put some positivity into a lot of people's lives. And we're still doing it. Joe, through more so than any of us, because you are literally changing lives on a daily basis. I get to still connect to an audience. And Bob, you still, when you jump on with us, with Jack and I, and people still get a lot out of everything you have to say. Huh. And the projects that you work on, and doing a podcast here, there, and everywhere. We still are really blessed for the fact that people feel like they know us.
Yeah.
Feel like that they're glad they've known us for so long, and that they still get to share a little bit of what we're going through by just vicariously listening to us get together.
And in this case, if we had it like open lines, and I'd love to figure out a way to do that with Zoom, with the podcast sometimes, just open up the lines and do it live. Everybody else would call and go, "What? You think you had blockage? I have crazy blockage."
Yeah.
And, because we're all brothers and sisters at this age. And you're, you're doing it all, Spike. You're the house husband and the breadwinner. Yeah. And God love you for it. And you got to talk about stuff every day that, it's tough the way society is now. I don't want to get into,
No, but I just got to keep making jokes. A really dear friend of mine told me that the best way to change somebody's mind is to make them laugh at what they think they know. So thank you.
And by the way, It works on your wife, too, if she's not aware that that's what you're doing. Oh, and your show makes me laugh out loud.
Thanks.
I guess
Thanks,
the hard part for me is just that the parts that are out of our control. That the news is all about how people vilify each other, and then the method of creating that feeling is uncontrolled because it's social media. It's appealing to the lowest form of thinking, which is our reptilian brain, which says that if I feel threatened by a political opponent that he's going to destroy my way of life, then you got my vote solid. And and I know you hate both sides now, isms, Spike, but that really is both sides. It very clearly, everyone I know on one side says the other side is destroying America, and I'm like, I've lived through OJ, I've lived through the Cuban Missile Crisis, I've lived through Israel, PLO, and Israelis. Will they ever live in perfect harmony? And it's human nature to be at odds with tribal. And we think tribally. We watch football games, and that's our tribe against San Francisco's tribe. And we get to, without actually lopping off anybody's heads, we do cause a few concussions and shorten a few people's lives. But hey, it's great entertainment.
They're well compensated. Yeah.
And they're well compensated. That's right. So it's interesting to see now. And this feels to me, and I'm going to ask you guys, to be our last part of the podcast, as children of the 60s, which I think even with our age range, we all feel we're children of the 60s, and the peace and love movement, conservation, all of that. Don't we wish that there was some of that just around the corner, that some young people were going to rail against us old farts watching cable news and create a totally different paradigm based on compromise and love and, all of that? No shot. I realized that the whole thing was too long for a TikTok video, so it stands no chance, but still.
Well,
Joe, what do you think?
Well, I do have some thoughts on what you're talking about. And as far as the young people go, because I am hanging out with a bunch of them. Well, right now we're entering it's awards time, the New York Times podcast, NPR podcast, and one of my students has made a wonderful piece on the history of protest music, and he's gone back to the slave days where they were protesting being out there picking cotton by singing songs against the master, even though the master didn't know it. And he talks to Richie Furay about Buffalo Springfield for what it's worth.
Do you know any of those songs?
Yeah, the Lay Down Elijah or something, that was one of the real famous ones. But what I'm getting at is it kind of stopped after Vietnam. I mean, when we were all, working together and Desert Storm came, I assumed we would start hearing some protest songs about that. I mean, we made song parodies both for and maybe against, but there were no protest songs. I haven't heard any protest songs about the Israeli situation. And I think young people, I would love, and I'm hopeful that they will, but I would love to see them go and write some poetry, write some music. But I don't think it's happening because I don't think music, and there are some outliers, there are some students passionate about music in my program, but I don't think music is as big a deal. And I don't think protesting through art is as big of a deal.
No, not like it used to be.
For this generation. And
two reasons for that, let me offer. Very good, astute observation. Three reasons I'm going to offer. One reason is in short form media, in order to cut through the clutter, you kind of have to be angry. The warm message of love is nice. People take a picture of a nice dinner they have, and it was our 80th anniversary. It's all nice on Facebook. But The other thing is that after Vietnam, our country, which I'm very patriotic about in certain ways, our country seemed to realize that television changes everything then, just the way the internet's changing everything now. And we can't send American soldiers to foreign soil without these protests. But what we have discovered is we can ship bombs anywhere, and wars will be fought, and we'll sort of be on one side because we're the good guys preventing the other guys from being, attacked and taken over by the evil guys, whether it's Hamas or Putin. And as long as you don't have any high school buddies who just got drafted and came home in a coffin, I hate to be so blunt, war just doesn't break through the news cycle. It just doesn't, it's not there's war happening somewhere. Did your tribe get hit? No. Did my tribe get hit? No. Things are good in Henderson. How's things in, Mercer Island? Oh, we're protected. We got a moat. We got weapons that'll shoot right out of Lake Washington if anybody tries anything here.
Although they just banned fireworks, so no more.
Sure. But in other words, a little bit of out of sight, out of mind. When bad stuff goes on, we debate it and argue it with talking points, but we don't have skin in the game.
Oh yeah. And when
go ahead, Spike. You're very educated about government and our history. So how does that strike you?
I'm gonna touch on. You guys brought up 3 points I want to hit on really quick. You're right. We don't have skin in the game. People keep bitching about these college protests, and they don't understand what they're protesting. Like they're supporting Hamas, they're supporting terrorism, they're anti-Semitic. I think it's kind of noble that we don't have skin in the game. And this generation, those who do protest, still care enough to stand up for people dying a half word away that they'll never meet. People who have an idea.
I think you're right. I think that's starting to happen now. I don't think that was the case 5 years ago. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. And I mean, President Biden is reactionary a little bit, not enough, but you got to admit when he says, I'm going to hold back this one shipment of bombs because he's got a problem with his voting bloc, with his young voting bloc. Mm-hmm. So obviously this shit works. Yeah. And with regard to why there isn't good protest music anymore, we used to have artists. We used to have stars that got our attention. We used to have people with talent that got our attention. Now everybody with a phone or a keyboard is at the table, and we're just awash in opinions, mostly uneducated opinions, and the noise drowns out anybody of real heart and passion and talent.
Just don't knock uneducated opinions too much. Well,
that's my last point. That's my last point. Uneducated opinions. You talk about the two sides, right? And how each side says if this election is if those guys win, our world is over. Both sides, you're right. Both sides are saying that. Yeah. But I think only one side's got it. And you know me, I'm not going to get too deep, but I think only one side's got a real good argument on that front. You're surprised. I think it's my side. Here's my point. Shallow is the new deep. People of limited information with the loudest voices get the most attention.
Yeah, and it's not limited information. There's so much information. There's no curation. No one knows who the authority is. It used to be
everybody's got
Journal would represent conservative thinking with incredible think pieces that would get you to think, and the New York Times would represent a more liberal stance, but with excellent reporting, dealing with real facts, and great persuasive editorials. And the editorial pages were separate from the news, which tried really hard. It's not possible if you're human, but tried really hard to be impartial. Who, what, where, when, what, why. Give me the journalistic facts of the case.
Right.
And now if we go who, well, here are the who's that we think are awful on the other side. But what about the other who's? Well, we'll move on. What? They were terrible to our side. Okay, well, what else? Oh, no, that's all we got for the what's. Where? Well, where? Oh, these evil, those people. Who are those people? Where are they? Oh, they're the bad people. They
Right.
they want the woke. We'll just call them the woke, and then the others will call the deplorables, which I also think was a huge mistake. And so none of that. The way I look at it is, I don't care who's right. None of it is productive.
Mm-mm.
And productive is when, like, I know my next door neighbor was a conservative. But if I had something to work out with him face to face, man to man, he's one of the greatest people on earth to me. Just when he pulled that lever, how could you not see that Tucker Carlson is this, spinmeister who's trying to destroy whatever he's trying to destroy? And so it's weird. It's weird. We are still tribal, and we are carnivores, and we are killers, all of us. It's civilization and rules and balancing things out and saying, hey, I'll tell you what, we can run indoor plumbing, we can create some storefronts, and we just have to have some rules that we don't kill each other. How does that sound? Sounds like I'd be under a lot less stress. I'll go for it. And then the next generation comes up and goes, I don't like him, I want to kill him. And then you got to go, well, see, this whole society thing has been evolving. And I still think it's evolving for the better. But the scary part is that when everyone has a megaphone, no one has a megaphone.
Right. It drowns out.
Interesting. Yep. All right, the world. Fuck the world. I'm done talking about the world.
And that's why I admire you still thinking about that stuff, because I've made it a real, I don't know, a conscious decision after my heart. It's like, okay, some things got to go. And one thing that has gone for me is pontificating on social media about politics and things, because
time sucker.
Yeah, it's a time sucker. And also, I'm pretty sure I know how my state's going to go, and maybe I'll change my mind as the election draws near. But I'm just kind of recusing myself from the whole situation here, because I need to care about the things that I can most directly affect, and and maybe care less even like about some of those. So the fact you're spending a lot of time, and by the way, I think you've got a lot more than 69 years ahead of you, Bob, because you're looking so much better than when even 6 months ago. It's like you seem like you're doing really good.
6 months ago, there was a concern about Christmas.
Yeah.
And I just, for anyone who cares, like, there's nothing special about me. So many people battle the big C, and when you think about it, I'll be depressing again. We all have a terminal illness from the moment we're born, and none of us knows what the expiration date is. Really shouldn't affect how you live your life. But in the last few months, I've been getting some therapies that my scans are good. I get another scan every 3 months. And, when you get that, it's like there's a thing called scanxiety. If you've known anyone with cancer, you know what that is. But really, in the meantime, shit, this stuff is getting scarce. I'm going to enjoy it,
Yeah, I think that's the secret weapon you bring to the table. Is your attitude to enjoy every day that you got in front of you.
Yes. And also, and I'm speaking to both of you, I want people to say really nice shit about me and forget all of the bad stuff.
That's easy.
All right, good. So all good. All right. Well, it's just refreshing to connect with you guys. It was a really interesting, intimate conversation, not like a show we were doing for other people. I hope some people enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, like us, subscribe on Patreon, send Spike and Joe their money directly. If you didn't enjoy it, just go to TikTok and watch alligators eating someone's puppy, and you'll forget all about us.
Oh, you still can, for the government off. That's another one. One of my kids they're pretty worked up about that. One of my kids did a nice New York Times piece about TikTok going away, and even interviewed Congressman Adam Smith, who voted to ban it. And that's a whole, I know we don't have time to get into that, but that's a That's pretty wild to see.
Well, I could summarize it in 28 seconds for you.
Okay.
I don't know if that's how much time you get on TikTok. I think you get longer. Look, it's actually our what's the best way to put this? Remember after 9/11, Homeland Security was formed, and you have the spy. What are the other? Well, we have the FBI. We have, what's the other one? The
CIA, NIS.
The NIS. All of these organizations designed to keep us safe and to prevent attack. And what you have with this TikTok company is China has available to lots of information. It doesn't mean they're interested in it, or even that they could do anything with it. Although with AI coming, there's an argument to be made. But there's been no credible argument that watching people's cats throw feces back at monkeys is going to like somehow hurt the country.
Let me tell you how it's going. Let me tell you how it would.
I do. But let me finish my thought, and then you can disprove it.
By all means. By all means.
But what it really is, in my opinion, the large part of it, is that our tech companies don't want their business model disrupted by a large Chinese tech company. And if you recall, the Chinese censored all of our shit, Facebook, everything else they did. I don't know what the deal is now because it's constantly changing. And so this is there's a phrase these guys I listen to use called regulatory capture. This is essentially the competitors. YouTube has created Reels, Facebook has Instagram. They've created the same product, and by shutting down TikTok, they can keep all the money flowing to our countries. And I think it's a dangerous precedent in the world to basically say it's a trade war, more so than I think it is about spying now. Does that make sense?
I worry more about misinformation than spying.
Oh,
two out of three young people get all their news from TikTok.
Yeah.
And if you're being run by and managed by a company that has our best interest not in their hearts. And
by the way, 2 out of 3 elderly get all their news from Facebook. It's the same thing. Whatever.
Right. Well, I'm with you. That's why I think I think misinformation should be better governed. And TikTok's not going to go away. They should just sell to an American company. Some American company will run the same platform. And in China, they show their kids math and science. But in America, they show us misinformation.
I like that. That's a great talking point. I've heard that exact talking point from at least 5 different sources. Must be true.
It's true. It is.
must be true. I don't know.
It's easy. It's easy to verify.
Okay.
It's easy to verify.
But how scary is it that our own government is spying on all of us?
I don't worry about that shit at all.
Huh.
I'm not doing anything that's going to put me in jail. So look all you want.
I've heard that, but that's an oldie but a goodie too.
I mean, what does it matter? Why am I hiding my shit from my government?
Yeah.
What do I give them? What do I give a shit? You're going to tax me if you're going to tax me. You're going to show me what you think I ought to get to see. Whatever. I'm smart enough to know the difference.
Yeah,
I know where to find valid information.
I'm the same way, by the way. I click agree. Go ahead. Follow my Toyota around. I just want my GPS to work. I totally get it. But I also know that with the coming AI revolution, Joe's got a little smile. I think he has something to say. With the coming AI revolution, it's going to be possible to manipulate humans in very predictable ways that are much more predictable than having a nice sign with a good picture of a pepperoni pizza where Joe drives home. I mean, that's a way of manipulating humans, right? But it's going to be possible with AI to unduly, and I'm going to stick with the word manipulate.
Yeah.
But the manipulate, I mean, I can manipulate an argument to make my wife laugh, and that's good manipulation, right? But you can manipulate people to buy products that are harmful to them, which we already sort of do with advertising sometimes.
You sure do.
But you can make it with all the strength of a nuclear bomb. You can make it a slam dunk that whatever money wants you to do, you will do. You will do. Star Wars reference.
Yeah.
Is that the necromancer?
No, that's the Palpatine.
Palpatine? Okay.
That guy is, the Emperor.
The Emperor. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe, you had a thought about I didn't steam all over it.
Well, no, not at all. Well, you're mentioning AI. Have you guys played with Copilot much? Microsoft's latest product.
I'm dying to do it. I need to.
Scary. Well,
okay.
I'll just give you a quick demonstration here. It's called Copilot. It's by Microsoft, and it knows lots about you. Just ask it. Is Bob Rivers of Las Vegas, Nevada, considered to be a successful broadcaster?
I'm liking where this is going.
Sure.
Give it a second.
Robert Rivers on July 7, 1956 is a retired American rock and roll radio on-air personality, primarily known for the production of parody songs, especially his famous Christmas song parodies. Let's explore his career.
Can you get the speaker up a little closer to the? No, the speaker's on the bottom of the phone. Actually, it's in a weird spot.
WAVZ, WNHC, WCDQ, Whaley, WFIF, WCCCFM, WWCO, and WLIS. During his time at WAAF in Worcester, Massachusetts, part of the Boston market, he co-hosted the successful Bob and Zip Morning Show with fellow on-air personality Peter Zipful. Rivers gained fame for producing parody and novelty songs, both for WAAF and the Cat/New City American Comedy Network, which provided comedy material to local U.S. and Canadian radio stations. One of his early parodies was Breakin' Up Is Hard on You, inspired by the lawsuit and resulting Bell System divestiture, the court-ordered split of AT&T's Bell System. The song humorously addressed the telecommunications company's breakup and reached number 70 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Twisted Christmas Album. Rivers achieved significant success with his album, Twisted Christmas, which was certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA.
Trust me, you're going to like the end, though. You're going to like the
end.
Classic Christmas songs, showcasing
everyone else is going to get bored, not me.
Seattle radio career. Rivers made a lasting impact in the Pacific Northwest, particularly in Seattle. His last regular radio program, The Bob Rivers Show with Bob, Spike, and Joe, aired on Seattle oldies station KJR-FM for 25 years until August 8, 2014. The show was known for its humor, music, and entertaining banter. Rivers also played keyboards for the cover band Spike and the Impalers, affiliated with the show, until 2015. Radio Hall of Fame induction. Recently, Rivers was inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame. He shared his feelings about this honor and discussed some of his biggest influences during a podcast episode with fellow host Zip. The conversation also touched on dating in the late 70s and memorable moments from Rivers' life. Personal life. Rivers and his wife Lisa Rivers moved to Las Vegas to be closer to family and enjoy desert walks and concerts. His career as a broadcaster and songwriter has left a lasting legacy, especially through his humorous parodies and contributions to radio entertainment. In summary, Bob Rivers is indeed considered a successful broadcaster, known for his wit, creativity, and memorable contributions to the world of radio and parody music.
There you go.
That was terrible.
And this
saved us a ton of time. Saved us a ton of time writing your obit.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. And what was that girl? The movie was it called Her, where it was an AI girl, and so it saved you guys a bunch of work. Her, you want to get up and talk about Bob for a while?
The amazing thing too is the voice. I mean,
there were some flaws. There were some wrong facts. We were only at KJR for 4 years. KZOK for 10 years and KISW for 11 years. And they left out the members of the show, and that the whole show, Bob Rivers Show, was inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame. But you know.
Plus they called it AT&T. It's AT&T. Come on, fucking AI, step up.
Did they really do that? Yeah. Oh, I missed that.
The breakup of AT&T.
The joke I heard about AI is that it's getting better, but it still performs like a bad intern. And
but
so
it sure knows who it can harvest an amazing amount of stuff.
Yes.
And that's why I teach my students is like, you got to be more careful than ever, because anything that you do that is out there at all is being harvested any way you go. And Spike said he's not afraid because he's not doing anything illegal. I'm not afraid either, but man, is it thorough. Our faces are going to be recognized, everything.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? ChatGPT, all of these AI, these are only a tiny part of AI, by the way. There's a million other ways that artificial intelligence is being used. But really, when you think of it, nothing much has changed. If you just substitute Santa Claus for AI, he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake, right?
That's right.
That's the best way to explain AI to a 4-year-old. Yeah, there's going to be a record of everything you do. Oh, uh-oh. I'm glad there isn't for us.
Yeah, I'm glad we live pre-internet.
All right. Guys, great to catch up with you. Thank you for your time. I always feel a little guilty asking for your time, knowing how, you guys work for a living, and I just wake up and do the crossword puzzles, and much appreciate the visit.
You do the Wordle?
No, right? I've never done it. I lied. I don't
you
got to
try the Wordle. I resisted. Now I do it because you'd like the Wordle. I think it's fun.
Everybody heard about the Wordle.
Oh, that's a good one. That would be very popular.
Sure, because everybody remembers that band.
They had a thing on CBS Sunday Morning about it this morning, and it is in the billions now. How many, people, or not people, but individual games have been played.
Oh, Wordle games? Yeah.
Yeah, they had a good CBS Sunday Morning. I thought about you because they also had the bidet. It's surprising how many. They said half of America either owns a bidet or wants
one. 47%. I saw that.
Saw that this morning too. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, maybe because of all the politics, America's finally getting tired of having unclean assholes.
Yeah.
I think it's post-pandemic. I can't find any damn toilet paper is what it is.
That's what they said. It's great PR for Toto, who makes those toilets. And the toilets start at about $350 for a washlet and go up to $20,000 for the one that takes care of my ass.
Yeah. That's where the lips come out and smooch you when it's done, right?
I didn't pay that much, by the way. We knew a distributor. We got what did we pay for it? It was still a lot of money. It was in the thousands of dollars, but there's and you guys don't have one yet, right?
No, I want one. And now it sounds like it's socially acceptable to say, I want a little water on my butt. I mean, I used to not think, that was something that you could
thought the water pick in your ass made you gay, didn't you? A little bit.
Well, I got to admit, when I felt that in the past, it's like, I could see some upside to that.
Wait a minute. I've never had a bidet, but when I felt that in the past.
Well, I mean, when you're in the shower.
You visited someone. Oh.
I like this a little more than I'm supposed to. Right?
Oh, the shower head. Yes.
Yeah, it's like
with the right setting.
Yeah, that's got some
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up.
We're guys. We all have prostates. So it's been a great conversation. And the more we overstay our welcome, the funnier it gets. So that's it. You all take care. And if we did this once a month or so just to say hi, it would be great. And
I love it.
And you guys can call me 24/7 for anything you need.
How about tickets to the Sphere? I need some of those.
Well, I asked Spike, so it didn't go well with Jack as far as coming down here for the Ringo Starr show.
His timing didn't work. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Joe? Would you come down with Spike for Ringo Starr and his all-star band at the Venetian Theater?
When's the
sit by the pool with me?
When's the date?
Like next weekend.
No, not the holiday weekend. The one after. It's actually.
Was it June 1st and 2nd? I
think the concert is May 31st.
Okay, yeah, that's my closing night. Emily's in actually a really good play right now. Uncle Vanya, same play as on Broadway with Steve Carell, but She's not on the Broadway version, but that's her closing week.
She playing the Steve Carell character?
No, she plays the young girl.
Give him a break. Dude just had a heart attack.
Yeah, but I do want to come down. Dead and Company are at the Sphere now, so I'm going to get down there and see you when school gets out.
If you got here, I would go to see that with you.
Sounds good. Well,
okay. And by the way, you're a ticket ticket shyster like me. I mean, you know how to buy them on the aftermarket. You know how to wait till the last minute and get something cheaper, right? I've done.
I hope. Yeah, that this one's pretty new, so we'll see. But none of them are cheap, that's for sure.
Paying for concert tickets is totally new for me since I stopped working. Yeah. And I go to StubHub. That's my preferred one. And I watch this. I totally remember when you bought like 600 Wiggles tickets and you were going to make a killing one year on Ticketmaster, and then nobody went to the Wiggles show.
I think it was only 40.
Well, Wiggles and Barney. I had a bad deal with Barney.
Yeah, you lost your shirt on those.
Yeah, but Hannah Montana, I cleaned up.
You cleaned up on Hannah Montana. She could use some cleaning up. So I will go the night like Bruce Springsteen. My first ever Bruce Springsteen concert. Oh, and so good, Spike. You were always right about it. Yeah. And I bought the tickets the day of the show, actually the night before. And it's a 12,000 seater. So it's not it's not like a baseball stadium, right?
Right.
Because 65,000 go into Allegiant stadiums, 12,000 seats. And I found a ticket in the back, but straight back from the stage, aisle seats, like $100. And I'm thinking that's got to be a pretty good price. And so I snatched him up, went there with my son, Andrew, who of course had never seen Bruce Springsteen. The show was so good. I mean, they have the big jumbotrons. So it's not like I need to be. And if you're in the first few rows, everybody's standing up and dancing in the dark the whole time. I want to sit and enjoy my 70-something-year-old performer. And I happened to get a seat where the next aisle was 20 feet below. So we're sitting there, completely unobstructed view the whole time.
Yeah.
And what a show. I mean, it's just incredible. You already know. They're one of the best live performers of all time. Still got it at 74? 3. Yeah. What month?
Oh, 74 now. 74 now. He's born 49.
What year? What day?
September 49, I believe. I'm not sure the day.
How many pounds? How many ounces?
He's lost some weight because of the peptic ulcers.
Thank you for dodging that one. All right. Anyway, so if you want to come down, we'll scalp some tickets together. Only we'll scalp the people who are scalping them.
Yeah, I felt bad. I missed the Stones. It's like they were down to $40 for good seats, and it's like that's in my price range.
All right.
I didn't have the energy. It's like these dudes are 80 and they've got the energy to go out there and do it. At 60, I don't have the energy to take the bus downtown to watch them. I felt a little old on that one.
I got an inside tip for you next time they come in town. 1:00 matinees. Hold out for it. It's coming.
Yeah. I'll be in.
All right. Bob, Spike, and Joe, peace out. Love you guys. Thank you very much.
Later, boys. Talk to you soon.